All right, it's all finally happened, everyone. Uh, Someone came out with this film called Men, where the monster of the film is just the average guy. It's men. It's a giant neon sign saying this is feminist propaganda. And it was made by this guy, Alex Garfield. Now, Alex Garfield made this film called Ex Machina, and I made a video about this long ago telling you, hey, this is an obvious feminist film. Here he is, the maker of the robot, I should say. He clubs her and he's dragging her back to her cell where she has no freedom and she's just a sex slave. And I've been gaslit by guys desperate to avoid this and say, oh, well, what it is, it's a deep, you know, discussion about consciousness. What is consciousness and identity and blah, blah. I said, no, this is what the film is about. And Alex Garfield, of course, is now put out this giant neon sign that you can't deny it anymore. And that's people's real issue with this is they can't deny it anymore. Now, I'm going to respond to this young lady's sweet and spooky because she's going to expose herself in her own critique of it.
My sweeties, and welcome back to my channel. If you don't already know me, my name is Elise, and thank you for joining my spooky little family. In today's video, we will be talking about men. Let's get into the video.
This young lady is very cringy, I know.
I never knew I would sit here on this channel and say we are talking about men, but here I am.
By the way, I find the YouTubers that drink wine from the glass very pretentious.
I have my favorite Pinot Noir here ready because we've got a lot to unpack with this one.
What is there to unpack? It's a feminist propaganda film. It's a man-hating propaganda film. That's its purpose. There's no depth to the story at all.
Oh boy. Written and directed by Alex Garland, starring Jessie Buckley and Rory Kinnear, Men follows a young woman who goes on a solo vacation to the English countryside following the death of her ex-husband.
Who was abusive, of course, right?
So I went into this film not having read a synopsis, nor did I see a trailer, so I only knew of the title and that it was from A24, and I was already sold. Now,
I don't know anything about A24, but supposedly they must have done some good work. That doesn't matter, you know.
Now, I went to see this on Friday, and I came out feeling really conflicted.
Really said, this is what I'm exposing, guys. There's nothing to be conflicted about. This is a hateful propaganda against one sex, 50% of the population. So this is what this young lady is showing what women feel. She feels conflicted. I don't feel conflicted. I am disgusted at this hate propaganda. So the fact that she feels conflicted says something about her character.
So I decided to process it for the night, and then I went to see it again last night, and
one viewing wasn't enough to say, oh, this hateful propaganda film is terrible, because it's a hateful propaganda film.
And my second watch just helped solidify what I had been feeling. Now, before I go on a whole wild rant right now, let me talk about some things that I actually liked. There is some really good...
Can you imagine, like, if the Klan made a propaganda film against black men, and I went to see it, then I came back and said, let me talk about the things I liked about this film. Think about that.
camera work and beautiful cinematography here. I also really liked the haunting imagery that's used throughout the film. It did add a level of intensity that was really nice. Sequences like the tunnel scene and the church flashback are meticulously crafted and well thought out. The performances here are also very good. Rory Kinnear essentially plays all of the men, which from an acting standpoint, I think was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, but that also tells us something else. He did what, 15 different roles? But in other words, they're all different kind of men, and all of them are evil because they're men. So it doesn't matter, all you guys listening, it doesn't matter what kind of guy you are. To be born male is to be the monster, according to this film.
Albeit questionable in context, but we'll get back to that in the rant. Each character he plays, he gives very unique mannerisms and dialects to, and it made the world feel so real. And this is where the story.
So the reality of this world is that there's one woman, and no, there's no other women in this film. There's just her, and all the rest are men. That's reality.
Goes downhill. It's kind of hard to discuss this movie because essentially there is no story, and I don't mean that in a rude way.
Of course, there's a story. The story is men are evil and women are good. That's the story.
Like, the story is really an afterthought. The story takes a backseat to Alex Garland's poor analysis of what it's like to be a woman. It's almost as if he came up with the idea that he wanted to write a movie about how men treat women in society and couldn't get past the outline stage. He relies heavily on cliched versions of discourse.
Well, of course, because feminist propaganda is a cliche. There's no depth to this. You can't have any depth to this because in reality, men care for women and women are indifferent to men. So you can't have anything deep about this. You can only go surface level.
Instead of actually understanding what that discourse is trying to say. And not only
he understands perfectly. He goes by what you gals say and he puts it on screen. And that's your issue, is that you're being exposed for how you view us.
does he not understand it because he is not a woman, he doesn't even understand it well as a man. So there's that. Everything about this movie is surface level. Even
he doesn't know his place. Like I said, surface level. If you want depth in the film, it's got to be based on truth. But feminist propaganda is not truth, and therefore it can have no depth. Do you understand that?
Even the characterization of her abusive ex-husband sounds like it came straight from a soap opera.
Well, no offense, but my ex-partner abused me is the go-to bullshit line that women give for everything. So I think this guy has nailed it right on the head.
He couldn't actually think of ways men treat women, so he just made him physically and emotionally abuse her.
Well, lady, you can't think of it because men treat women like gold. So this film can't exist if you wanted to show the truth. And what she's really saying is this man doesn't know how to gaslight. He's showing what we actually think about men, but he's doing it bluntly. So we can't. He's showing a mirror to us.
Cool. And the emotional abuse.
And that mirror is not flattering.
Honestly feels like he just looked up the definition of gaslight on Google. This bleeds heavily into the story as well. Because he sees Jessie Buckley's character Harper as a vessel for women's trauma, he forgets to actually write her like a real person. And
if he wrote her like a real person, this film couldn't exist.
And ironically, he doesn't even know how to write men characters either at this point. I don't know if
Of course, because it's a man-hating propaganda film. Men aren't actually like this.
Garland just hasn't met another human being. I mean, can we talk about the priest monologue at the end? What in the world was that? It's like Alex Garland was trying to reach the minimum word count on his essay about how scared he is of vaginas. It is so cringy.
So he was basically turning the men into incels, right? That's what it is. It's an incel slur. Okay.
And it was really hard to watch a second time, I am not gonna lie. The movie forgoes any depth and replaces it with flashy camera work and melodramatic dialogue.
Well, again, you can't have any depth to hate propaganda.
Okay. This kind of leads into my other issue. The standout performance is not from our leading lady, but from all 15 Rory Kinnears. Now, this part is going to be
So he's a better actor than her. Okay.
a bit of a spoiler, so if you actually want to go and see Men,
I do not. So let's get to it.
maybe you want to click out now. But I think the ending requires its own discussion because it's really what ties together the shallowness of the story. So after the priest goes on his monologue about power, the men start giving birth to each other in an unending cycle.
So, what are you, gay? That's basically what he's saying. Why don't you guys just become gay if you have a problem with women who hate your guts for the way you were born? Why don't you just become gay? That's what that was the end insult that he put in there.
Yes, that like legitimately happens. Eventually,
Also, it puts in the idea that men want to steal the ultimate giving birth to another person, which of course is nonsense because we all know that the birth rate drops every time a country becomes wealthy and secure, which means women don't value giving birth either. So there you go.
it results in Harper's husband being the last form they take. Wow, I am like so shocked. This is like so deep, bro. He tells her that all he wants is her love, and it is implied in the epilogue that she kills him.
Of course, it's implied. It's not shown because then it would take away the victimhood status to see a woman actually murder a man, right? But I think that's probably the only truthful thing that came out of this man-hating propaganda. It's probably the only honest thing that was said, that the man actually just wants love with her and she kills him. Yeah, that sounds like what I've seen in real life.
Then the movie just ends. Like, that's it. I think what Alex Garland thinks he did was make an empowering scene where Harper defeats
No, he thinks that he's giving you what you want.
the cycle of violence, when in reality, the implication is that to end this cycle, a woman needs to bear the responsibility and teach men to do better. Which, like, honestly, fuck you. Look, I'm not even interested in discussing this film anymore. So,
Yeah, well, I'm not really interested in dealing with this response anymore. So fuck you. So you're saying even the message of men to be good little guys, that's not good enough for you. Right. So I mean, this is what you're dealing with, guys. This woman actually likes this film. She just hates the fact that it's blunt and honest about their man hatred. He doesn't know how to gaslight well. Let me show you something. Let me show you. Let's see. We'll see a film that's done. There we go. No, that's wrong one. Here, just a minute. I'll get up the other one. Yeah, Sin City. Sin City was done right. It was a popular film. And guess what happens in Sin Cities? All the men are bad guys. Well, not all the men. There's two kinds of men. There are the men that hurt women are the bad guys, and the good guys are the ones who kill those bad guys. There are no bad women in this film, and it was very popular. See how it works? See, the guys get killed by the women. And there's the male ally who attacks the man who attacks women. So that was how it was done right. And I doubt this woman would be happy with that because it also appeals to men. So she probably wouldn't like that. But a proper film can be done. So what she's really saying is that the men movie was too honest. They didn't know how to gaslight men. And I'm glad it was made, really. I'd never go see it, but the point is, this film shows how society sees men. And that's her issue with it. And we'll end it here.